Woohoo! We made it!
Hello, friends.
Paste in the comment. Pin that thing. There we go.
Pin it.
Awesome.
I'll be right back.
Oh. We have pets who are having a moment. Hey, gang. Courtney's just handling the pets. Yeah.
You know what? It's squeaky ball time at my house.
Because, you know. Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
It's squeaky ball time at my house.
Echo. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Between Two Nerds, brought to you by nerdsvote.com, your source for voter registration information specifically geared towards cosplayers, gamers, pop culture fans, and congoers of all kinds. I'm JP Karliak.
And I'm Courtney Taylor, and a ring light.
In a ring light. Yes, we are all taking advantage of the ring light because daylight savings, thanks. Yes. Boo.
Hate it.
That's something that we've voted on before. Anyway.
Yeah, where is that?
Why didn't that happen? We have an amazing guest for you today. Before I just start rambling about them, let me see if they're even here.
And also, we got to talk about the pinned comment.
We do. They're not with us yet, so we will talk about the pinned comment. So, if you'll notice, the comment that I have pinned there is about Vote Early Day. Vote Early Day is this weekend.
The 24th.
It is the 24th. But you don't need to wait till then. You can check right now to see where your polling place is. If you're not voting by mail and you wanted to do it in person and you want to get it out of the way now, I will tell you, I have talked to friends around the country who have voted early and are already dealing with lines. So if you want to avoid those lines as much as possible, then I recommend you look up the website for the Vote Early Day is voteearlyday.org. Pretty simple. And you can find out where your local polling place is and what their hours are and all of that stuff so that you can get her done and not have to worry about it come November, because that's when it's all gonna go crazy.
And, very important, you guys, take out your phones, put in 866-hour vote. If you have any trouble voting with your ballots, anything like that, you can call them. If you show up and for some reason you can't get in line, or they're telling you you can't stay in line but the polls have not closed, please make sure that you call. Do not get out of line. Do not let someone mislead you into thinking that you cannot vote. Put that number, 866-hour vote, into your phone. And you can also, if you have any questions, you can hit up your office, your BOE. And they can also help you out. If I would just say go ahead and make sure you bring your ID, bring water, bring snacks. If you're going to do anything other than, pop it in the mail, just anticipate that there will be lines. Bring friends, mask up, throw them in your back seat, roll the windows down, go vote.
Yeah. Awesome. Very, very cool. Let's see. I don't see him yet.
But you know who's here? Courtenay and Dominic Hernandez.
And Nanny Marie.
And Amber Marie.
And Chris Brown. And John Seitz.
And guys, also, if you noticed in the chat, Ivy and the Spooky Kids, she is our social media and marketing director, but she is also the badass boss bee for voting questions. So during this hour, if you have questions about voting, she can answer some of them. Obviously, she can't answer all of them because she doesn't know exactly where you live. But just keep in mind, too, that when we're posting stuff, if you're checking out our social media, our websites and stuff, that stuff is changing all the time. So please make sure that you double check before you vote. what the proper instructions are on your ballot. And then when you get your ballot, make sure you follow them to a T. If it says blue ink, if it says black ink, check your driver's license and make sure that your signatures are as similar as possible, all that stuff, because you just don't want your ballot to get filed into the round file because you didn't do it right.
Mm-hmm. And by round file, we mean the trash.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing is, hey guys, it's 2 weeks to voter registration. To the election. And so,
you know that thing?
I know, that thing. It's only 2 weeks from today. Mm-hmm. So get your swag, guys.
Yes.
You can have it for 20% off in our store. If you use, don't tell anybody, but if you use Countdown as your promo code, Countdown, because it's a 2-week countdown. See what I did?
Mm-hmm. All one word?
Countdown, one word.
All caps? Or does it? Great.
COUNTDOWN, Countdown, because it's a 2-week countdown, 20% off. I will get you that stuff in the mail. Boom.
ASAP.
Or you can get, you're wearing yours.
I am.
JP's is not in our store.
It's lovely.
Practice baseball jersey. This is our Karen Hallian design. If you guys go to
by the amazing Karen Hallian, who does designs for Star Wars and Disney and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. And a note about apparel for Election Day and going to the polls. So you can wear this shirt to the polls. However, if you happen to live in an area where you know that people will give you crap about what you're wearing to the polls, because one of the rules about your election in most of the areas around the country is that you can't wear partisan material. So you can't wear your insert candidate here shirt or an elephant or donkey or leaf or eagle or whatever the symbols are.
Or independent party.
Right. So just be mindful of that. So even though this is nonpartisan, if you're nervous that you're gonna get into an argument with somebody about that you're wearing partisan material, feel free to just wear your sweatshirt and then go full Superman or Wonder Woman afterwards, and after you're done, and be like, aha, I've cast my vote. Look at this vote sticker on my chest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just to be aware of that.
You might keep the shirt on.
Right. Yeah, the shirt is on. The shirt is on.
The shirt is on. I mean, whatever. If you want to do a Nerds Vote logo, I'm not going to be mad at it. But yeah, like just in case. I feel like everything, just in case. Even if you don't have an ID requirement in your state, bring it just
bring
in
it with
case.
you. You never know.
You can't, and just double check. You guys may have read the news. There are certain ballot boxes that are being put out that are not official, so make sure that you are checking if you are using one of the ballot drop boxes, that you are using a real one.
Mm-hmm. And maybe even one where you can track it, because like in Los Angeles and a lot of other metropolitan areas, they have you can go online and find out how to track your ballot. We got lovely little emails that said your ballot has been received. Yeah.
Ballot Tracks, TRAX. They actually, you can track it like a pizza. It's so great. And it is in California. It's not in a lot of states, but you can also contact your Secretary of State and say, hey, or your Board of Elections, hey, start using Ballot Tracks. You can't do it right now because it's too soon to the election, but you know what? You've got state elections coming up, and everyone should be using it so we know that they get where they're supposed to go. Boom.
Amen.
20% off in the chat as me.
Do you, Court, have his number?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Can you text him?
Uh-huh.
Because I do, but I would have to leave these beautiful people.
I like to call them.
Hey.
While they're here. I like to call them.
He's a very busy person, so I'm wondering if he might be finishing.
Making elephant noises somewhere.
Grizzly bears. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or my favorite is the cricket.
The cricket. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, funny. Hold on. I only have his email. Let's see.
Okay. Everybody give me 2 seconds. I will text him.
Calling them by now.
I don't have his number either, friends. Okay. Ivy, hi. Can you do us a favor and can you give our special guest a little ringy ding? I think you have his phone number. I don't know how we don't.
Because I'm besties with him, guys.
Yeah, like we've hung out.
All the time.
He's bought me tequila.
I don't know if you guys know, but fun fact, I play small characters on like American Dad and Family Guy, and I had a character that went home with the fish.
Klaus.
Klaus the fish, yes.
Love it. Love it.
I drove up in a convertible and was like, "Oh, darling," and Klaus hopped in my car and we drove away onto our date night.
Fancy.
I just picked him up at a valet station.
Klaus is a very debonair fish.
He is, and my characters usually do stuff like that. Short but sweet.
You know why I think he's a debonair goldfish, Courtenay?
Because he's got a fine German accent?
Because he's always playing coy. Did you get it? Coy? Like the...
Oh! I was thinking...
Good night, everybody. This has been fun.
You can spare yourself out.
Boo.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Quit your day job and just go full.
Thank you, Nanny Marie. I'll be doing stand-up at some senior living facilities near you.
Yes, because we're going to send you to Australia.
Yeah. Please tip your waitress. She has to listen to those jokes. Yeah, she needs it.
That would be me.
Okay.
Dante, hi. Thanks for saying we look great. I was going to brush my hair, but then I just kind of, decided to make it different for you guys, and then got distracted and fell asleep, and that was it. So, sorry.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
Yeah.
That's all you get. But JP is freshly shorn.
I am. Thank you to Tanya Jost, the amazing hairdresser, stylist. Yeah.
Oh, maybe this is him. Hold on.
Oh. I think we lost her. Okay. She's checking the messages. Hi, friends. So it looks like our guest, D. Bradley Baker, spoiler, is having some tech issues. So we are currently troubleshooting those tech issues with him. So we'll be, thank you. Cueing the Jeopardy theme. That's happening. So he'll be joining us shortly. But, hey, AMA, throw any questions. So are you? Was that a how are you, or is there a further question to that, Vault 428? So we're just hanging. We're just chilling. There he is. There's the dude. Okay, now we just need to get Courtenay back. Okay. Please hold. This is all about to happen.
Hello?
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
He's in.
That was crazy.
He's in. Oh, let me get that glare off your face. Okay.
It's fine. It's a good glare.
All right. So now we got D. This thing is happening. Bingo!
Oh, there we are. Ha!
It worked.
I'm sorry. I'm showing what an old man I am. I've never done this. So all I do is like Zoom or I don't know how to do this.
This is fancy technology.
Oh my gosh! Here, let me up my lighting just a bit. So you can see.
Because it looks like wow. Where are you?
I'm in Xanadu.
You're in Santa Claus workshop.
I'm in my
It
Xanadu
looks awesome.
desert. I'm in my Xanadu desert makeshift studio.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like if you needed a recording booth while at Burning Man, this is it.
Exactly. Look at your
There we go. That's a little bit better. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took so
Yes.
long. I really couldn't figure out how to get on.
get closer. That's so much nicer.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely.
Brilliant. And are those rocket ships or what am I?
Yeah, yeah. There's rocket ships, and there's astronauts, and there's Saturn. There's planets with rings around them.
I mean, it's like a veritable Lucky Charms of galactic
Yeah,
symbols.
that's right. I'm
That's
the
what
galactic voiceover leprechaun that you've asked on.
Guys.
Yeah. Well, Dee, welcome to the show. For those of you just tuning in, this is Between Two Nerds, a show brought to you by Nerds Vote, your source for voter registration information specifically targeted towards gamers, cosplayers, con-goers, and pop culture fans of all kinds. Our guest today is Dee Bradley Baker, the amazing. So, Dee, a lot of people know you for the incredible voices that you do, but I don't know if everybody knows this, but the one thing, this is very seasonal right now, you are an extremely gifted Halloween decor master. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm really dedicated. I love Halloween. Halloween is it's the holiday of truth. Most think it's I just think it's the best holiday. It's the most creative. It has the least amount of kind of personal liability attached to it, and and it's just this kind of creative blank palette that you can paint from that I just think is so awesome. And so it's very much my favorite holiday.
So does the yard design have a particular theme this year, or are you doing anything special?
This year it's a little more, and if you're interested, you can go to my site, creepyyard.com, and I show you how I made it. I walk people through. If anybody wants to make a cool Halloween yard like I do, they can do it. And
That is cool.
and this year I didn't have a theme, but I just picked out a few kind of horrible masks that I thought were interesting, and I just kind of build something around that.
Courtney is gobsmacked, clearly.
Ah,
I know, it's so cool.
ah.
My favorite, and I'm in such a funk because we can't dress up. I mean, I don't care about trick or treating. Obviously, I'm just a little too old for that. But I like drinking wine and dressing up as I want it to be Hela this year. I like.
Yes, Thor's evil older sister. Yeah.
Yeah, I like dressing up as mean ladies more so than every day.
Well, Halloween exists great as a display holiday or as an interactive holiday where you're actually with people or trick-or-treating for candy or just going to a party or just driving around and seeing what people put in their yard. I mean, it works on all these different creative levels for all ages, really.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of the drive-through neighborhood display thing for Halloween, certainly more so than Christmas, because Christmas there's like a certain, you hit a wall at a certain point. Like there's only so many things that really hit the butt. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, there's my girls from last year, the two-headed twins. I don't know what you call them, but I was very proud of them. I liked them.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful. They are beautiful.
And do you do a soundscape for this thing as well, or is it just?
I don't. I make it. I really want to arrive at a tone, which for me the best word to describe it is creepy. I don't like over the top or gory or I don't like Halloween as an assault, but that's me. I mean, some like that version, like the Saw, torture porn Halloween, but that's okay if you want that. For me, I like creepy, like Donnie Darko, or I mean, normally I just have like swamp at night sounds playing on my yard, and that's the way I like That's Halloween that I like.
Swamp at now. Courtney and I were just talking about before you
Yeah.
jumped on that one of our favorite sounds that you do is the cricket noises. So, do you create any? It's so cool.
Do you know how often that I sit there and try and mimic the cricket sound?
That just blows spit all over the place. Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it. It's two things. It's the whistling.
In a stag meeting, and like somebody said something that everyone was pissed about, and then it was dead silent, and then you just heard a cricket from the back row, and everyone just started cracking up. I think
it's a great gag. Just don't ever use it in a table read.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Now, for the kids out there, you were giving us the steps. So it's a whistle.
Yeah, it's a whistle. It can be an inhale or an exhale whistle. But my inhale, I get a nice high inhale, and you dial in the uvula, kids. You go like you're gargling, not the front of your tongue, not a trill, not a, but it's that. And so you add that while you're whistling. So you're going. So you're adding that. You're adding in the uvula while you're whistling, and you can do it. You can teach yourself to do it.
All right. Well, we'll work on that. See, Court, that can be our Halloween project.
It's a great little stunt to have ready.
You're just staring at me as I blow spit all over myself.
We'll start with the whistle. Start with the whistle, and then dial in the uvula.
It feels like the energy either has to be here or here. Like it's hard to split it that it's doing both. But yeah.
Yep. You can do it.
We'll work on
you can do it.
I want a farting cricket noise because I'm a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, we have some people that are like, I can't do it without spitting on my phone. Yeah.
That's all right.
Welcome to my world, guys. Everybody just telling me how easy it is. It's not easy.
So do you, aside from putting together creepy horror zones and doing some VO, how have you been spending your pandemic season?
It's it's a real difficult time for everybody just because of the amount of change and disruption that it throws at us. But being a freelance creative kind of a person, I sort of feel like my life and my career have set me up to be able to roll with it in a way that it gives me a little bit of an advantage over others. I'm used to, as being a gypsy, as being an actor, I'm used to not really knowing what's going to happen after, a month or 2 months or a year or 5 years. I just kind of make my best shot, but I'm ultimately just, my focus is to try to be nimble and to be ready for whatever's coming at me, professionally or personally. And so, I find myself completely so very lucky just to be in the end of the entertainment industry where things continue, are able to continue with remote collaborative creation. And so we as voice actors are very, very lucky. It's just sheer luck of the draw. My career could have gone more towards on camera, and many of us could. I mean, it's like when you're an actor, you just kind of try stuff and much of it's fun. And then finally you find your path and it sort of clarifies into one little avenue of entertainment. Yeah. And for me, it just happened to be voice acting, but it could have gone a lot of other different ways. So I just feel like I really lucked out. So what I try to do is it's not far off from what I always try to do. It's what do I do to keep myself feeling good? What do I keep to feel myself so I can feel inspired, and so that I feel that my fuel is replenished and my flames are burning, so that I'm not only healthy and that I feel good, but that somebody wants to hire me, so that I can still keep bringing something that's active and creative and interesting, rather than passive and fearful and kind of freaked out. right? Because I think that's our power as artists, is that we can bring something that's a confident, interesting, creative, powerful offer to the people that hire us. And we solve problems that way, right? They
Yeah.
hire us because we solve the question of who is this character, or how is this scene supposed to play. And so whatever we can do to feed ourselves, to try to stay connected to our creativity and to our humanity and to whatever fuels us as a human being, that's what continues our hireability as an actor. But also just to kind of hold yourself together so that you feel good and you feel healthy and you're able to hopefully weather this ongoing disruption that I don't think is going to end. I think it's going to keep on going for a while now. So so that's kind of how I view it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, like, oh.
Courtney, are you okay, Courtney?
No big deal. A meteor just hit her house. It's not a big deal.
Her
But
hardware
Courtney
collapses,
exhibited
but
what I was
she's
just going to say is you need to stay nimble. And
right. Yep.
And you need to know how to prop your devices up at all times, because that's the only way we
Well,
get to people now.
your device falls over, but you stand steady as a rock.
yes.
I didn't drop my drink, so
I mean, I do know that we don't talk a lot of shop on this show, like how to get into voiceover and all that. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that so many, myself included, of our voiceover colleagues have turned to you, especially as this was all beginning, in how to set up a booth. For those of you that don't know out there, Dee has an amazing website, iwannabeavoiceactor.com, which is exhaustive in its beginner to pro blogginess of info. And I just wanted to mention that, for anybody out there who is either looking to get in fresh or is in and doesn't know how to weather the pandemic in this, like, your website has been a lifesaver for many. So,
well, thanks. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I consult it often.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that. I've added a number of pages since COVID hit, and I think it's really important as a creative person. It's one of the great attractive things about becoming an actor, is that it's a collaborative venture, that it's a voluntary family of sorts, and that as things go well for you, that you want to bring others on board who are interested, who are capable and talented and good at what they do. And so it's not a matter of all for me and nothing for anybody else. But especially as a voice actor, I think that we're kind of uniquely set towards a collaborative and a generous stance towards our fellow performers. And that, I mean, for me, I didn't want money for this. It's like, I really want good people to jump in and to compete with or to work with. And so, and plus I was tired of answering people for 2 hours every time they asked me, how do I get into voiceovers? So I made this site and I keep adding to it. I think it's really a long-winded site, and it's really amateur. It's not slick, and there's no money. I mean, they even wanted me, they want me to like put Google ads on it. It's like, no, yeah, I will not sully my good information with your Google ads. I want this to be free, because I think a creative person has to have things that you make and that you love and that fuel you, that have nothing to do with money, but they're because you love it, because you are a lifelong amateur, which means amateur means you love it. You do it for the love of it, like I do my Halloween yard. And that's why I make my site and I give out free advice and opinion, for what it's worth. I'm certainly not the only fountain of information or insight. And there's lots of that on the web to access for anybody who's interested. But for me, I really wanted it just to be, I'm going to give this away, and hopefully it helps. And if not, that's okay. And if it does, then I'm very happy.
Awesome.
It's a huge gift to the rest of us too, because you have
Good.
such soft of information up there, and it is honestly, guys. I mean, if you want to be a voice actor and you're like, let me ask somebody, and you wouldn't go to this site, then I feel like this is the first step. I always like go,
because this is, if you ask us, this is where we'll tell you to go before we have any further conversation with you. We'll be like, go there, then come back to us.
Well,
getting it is hard, and if you have the wherewithal to go through and memorize this entire website, then yes, we will have a conversation. I'm just kidding, but
yeah.
It's such a great resource for all of us, because I could give you information that you could come and talk to me about it, but I got into it a long time ago, and my information is not current. So Dee has done everyone a huge service with all of this, and because of so many of us, I mean, most of us are always trying to learn. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource. So
well, thank you. I really hope so. I get a lot of good feedback from it, which makes me feel good. But listen, we're all learning, and we never stop learning. I mean, I'm reading some more Ray Bradbury's "Something Wicked This Way Comes" for Halloween, and I love reading him out loud to myself, and it's fun to continually to try to push yourself, and also just to kind of wade into things that excite you, and that enliven you, that give you a creative spirit. And for me, that's reading a lot of stuff out loud to myself like that. But I think every person who wants to do this, it's not a calculation about money or contacts or marketing. It's ultimately a core of creating things that you like, that you love with other people, and then ultimately, to serve a story and to serve a script. But your whole job is to make yourself into this sort of like a battery, like a charged battery that is ready to discharge selectively as you are asked to. And so it's more of an internal energy that you're cultivating. I mean, a lot of people ask me, I'm looking to get my foot in the door. I'm looking to make contacts. How do I get a job? It's like, first I want you to ask, I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing now? What am I doing this week? What am I doing today to make what I do more vivid, more authentic, fuller, more energized? What am I doing to increase my skills, to further broaden my love of what this is? What are you doing to make yourself a more irresistible proposition to hire? Let's answer those questions first before you start talking about how do I get an agent? Who do I call? Who do I talk to? Who do I study with? It's like, yes, I want you to do those things. I'm not dismissing that. But your focus needs to be on what you love and what you're good at and how you are making yourself better and an irresistible proposition in your own unique way. So that's how I see it.
All of that. But yeah,
right. Well, that's it. I mean, people don't hire you because you're polite. They don't hire you because you're inoffensive or nice. They hire you because you bring the problem solving. You bring the power. You bring the creativity. That's what they hire you for.
Right.
Not for being nice. Not for being, having connections.
Bringing who you are and bringing what what makes you weird or what makes you different from everybody. Bring that to the party, because someone was talking to me about being bullied, and I was saying that everything that was weird about me as a kid are the things that are like these stores that I call upon for the kind of work that I do now. And so to be confident that look to your weirdness, look to your differentness, because that's a great thing to show up with. Now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to follow your weirdness. You must follow what is unique about you. Look, you start out and you have heroes. You have people that inspire you, who intimidate you, who are amazing, and you will never be that because that's not you. You will find your own version of that, and you've got to trust yourself, and to find the resilience within yourself to not be intimidated by that, but to find out, to excavate the things within you, that will bring that power to the light. And you just do that by living your life, not just by taking acting classes or just by reading out loud or just doing voice acting, but by volunteering, by caring for animals that you love, or helping out, volunteering, helping out old people, helping with an election, helping out things that matter to you. You've got to have some investment in this life to bring life to your performance as a professional. So your job is to be a human, first and foremost.
Yep.
That's great. And that investment, I mean, I love that you mentioned, being involved in an election, because obviously, just to sort of tie that into what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as voting goes and elections and stuff, do you have a particular way of voting? Are you like a guy who talks a lot about it, and or just kind of goes and does it? I'm so happy that you're on the show. And one of the things that we do ask is, like, do you have a tradition, or do you have a particular way of voting that you really like?
In person, by mail? Do you research heavily? Like, what's your thing?
Well, I'm on the precipice of voting as we speak. I've got my voting materials, and I want to vote early, which is something that I've never done. But it's a heartening feeling to see the astounding response so far of people who want to engage with this democracy. Look, this is a fairly recent experiment that was started, and the whole thing works a whole lot better if as many people as possible who are eligible vote, and if as many of those votes as possible are counted. And so it's really incumbent upon all of us to wake up, especially now more than ever, and to engage with this, and to go in and cast that ballot in an intelligent way that connects with what we care about and how we see things. It's really, since 4 years ago, since before this great, we'll say, political food poisoning of the past 4 years began, it really started me on a journey, not to be partisan or anything.
Never.
It really started me on a journey of self-education and reading a lot about my own blindness and my own shallow understanding of what's going on and what our situation is. And I'm very grateful for that incentive to deepen my appreciation as well as understanding of where we're at and what's happening and the forces at work, and also the kind of historical continuity with what's at play. Because if you're not aware of the history of our country in the big terms, as well as like the last 4 or 5 decades at least, if you're not aware of that, then this looks like something that just jumped up out of the sea and attacked you, and you don't know what the heck this is. But my view now is that that this is all a piece of kind of the DNA of what this country has always been, and it's kind of coming to a head, and it's playing out. And I'm heartened, at least, by some of the constraints and counter forces that are at work. And it's interesting, and ultimately I'm optimistic about it. But we're going to have to buckle up and lash ourselves to the mast for the next 4 or so months, and just kind of see how this plays out.
Yeah. We have talked a lot on this stream about how anybody that thinks that it's going to be over in 2 weeks is not paying attention. This is going to take a minute.
Right. I mean, the actual election is actually, the votes are cast in mid-December. The electors, they cast their votes in mid-December. That's when the actual election really happens. There's a lot that can happen between election day and mid-December, And then after that, even, there's a lot that can happen. And I anticipate great disruption.
Yes. So all the more reason that everybody out there needs to vote in droves.
Yeah.
So that these
It all comes down to voter turnout for me right now.
Process.
and know what the electoral college is and what it does and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Educate yourself because buckle up. It may be a very bumpy night, as the great woman said.
Yeah. It's not a question of majority rules with the way that we were originally set up. And there's reasons for that. I mean, when this country started, all of the states considered themselves as separate countries. And the only way to get them to sign on to a confederacy, let alone to an actual unified federal government, was to, well, first of all, we had to have this unified antagonistic external force, which was England. So everybody was equally freaked out and threatened. But then also to set up this kind of thing that Madison set up, that gives minority voices disproportionate power under certain circumstances. And, sometimes that can work in a way that you feel good about, and sometimes that can work in a way that you do not feel good about. But that are sort of the rules that the founding fathers, as they say, set up, that are still playing out now. It's really fascinating. It's very fascinating.
For sure. Dee, a question that we ask all of our guests is, who are you voting for? And when we ask that, we're nonpartisan, so we're not asking party or candidate, but we're asking, when you are casting your ballot this election, what person or people or issues will you have on your mind that you want that ballot to affect?
My main concerns are the integrity of democracy. And I would vote for the side, and I think there is only one side, that wants all eligible voters to vote and wants all eligible and authentic votes that are cast to be counted. So to me, this election personally comes down to democracy or permanent minority rule. That's the way I see it. So I'm voting. I'm voting straight Democrat. Now look, I'm not registered as a Democrat, and frankly, I don't like bandwagons. And ultimately, the money that pollutes our political system pollutes both sides of the aisle. And I'm not under any kind of an illusion that if the other side, shall we say, takes power, that's necessarily going to be all polka dots and moonbeams all of a sudden. Because ultimately, we need to remove the infection of money in that, and the way that allows money and private privilege to set policy in this country. It shouldn't be that way. Citizens United was a disaster, and it's un-American. It's anti-democratic, and so I'm throwing myself in with the Democrats, as I usually do. I tend to go that way. I do, however, look. I can argue the other side. I can argue pro-Trump. I can do it. I understand that there are valid issues on all of this, and in the end, we need somebody who will enable us all to work together to solve the problems that encumber all of us, or most of us. And so I'm not one of those who simply dismisses everyone who is not a Democrat as insane or a racist or a monster of some kind, although they have those. But ultimately, I think we have to work together as a country. Democracy is set up as a conversation, not as a battle zone, not as might makes right. And so we have to find a way that will alleviate the pain and the frustration and the fear that is pervasive in these disruptive times.
Sure.
So I don't come into it with a vengeful, dismissive, angry stance towards those who may not present in the way that I see things. Because ultimately, I think, I mean, in the days of social media, as well as with the COVID virus, we're atomized, we're separated in a way that we can't be face to face. We can't, all of the nuance of communication is stripped away. And that's a really dangerous thing for a social creature such as humans. And it's dangerous for democracy in general. I mean, that's a whole discussion of how social media undermines the conversation that we should be having and the connection that we should be searching for. So we're up against a lot, and it's a uniquely kind of fraught, difficult moment. And yet, I mean, my view is the past 4 years have been pretty disastrous and are really ominous and frightening. And yet, I've seen things that are at work in terms of how the judicial pushback, as well as with the free press, as well as with the ability of the less than muscular minority of their ability within the Congress to push back against presidential privilege and power. And so I'm heartened that these things are demonstrated to be still at work, and that oftentimes or sometimes do what they're set up to do. As much as I don't like what's played out in the past 4 years. So I still maintain an optimistic stance. And ultimately, I think democracy is about conversation and is ultimately an optimistic system of government.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, one of the things that, especially in this time, being relegated to conversations like this or via Zoom or where everything is limited or via social media, a lot of the communication that we have is via the media, is how we learn about everything because we're not able to experience it in person. And the media is, I mean, for a lack of a better, media and entertainment have kind of like become one thing because that's how the 24-hour news cycle works. And as we know about
from the same entities.
Yeah, and as we know about what makes good television, it's conflict and drama. And instead of that, as you mentioned, that conversations aren't good television, but conflict is good television. And so, whether it's inherent, it occurs naturally, or it is something that's drummed up, that conflict is constantly being thrown back in our face to perpetuate it because it keeps people glued to the TV.
Right. And it's given
people chasing, shiny things all day long.
Yeah.
In this 24-hour news cycle. And it's like, I'm old enough to remember when one news item would take several days for, this country to process. And now it's literally, you can't keep up. But the upside too is of some of this, and I want to bring this back just to the chat for a minute. The upside of having this media is that social media in particular, is that you can reach out to your representatives and you can have conversations and get access to media that you wouldn't have had, 10, 20 years ago. And someone in the chat was saying, Talon.Shay was saying they're not old enough to vote. And the beautiful thing is that even though you're not old enough to vote, you still have a voice. And you can reach out to your representatives. You can tell them that you're a pre-voter and that you will be voting and that these are the things that you want to see. And that's really important that they know that you're coming. And Lesbian Cherry Bomb and Fall Fireside.
Love that name.
I want to give you guys big ups because they're voting the first time this year. And I'm super excited that you guys are starting at 18 and that part of voting is to not have this be set it and forget it. It's not about dropping a ballot into a box. It's about starting the process of voting every time, because your vote is not just the one vote that you put into the box. It's the process of doing it every single time, so that you are invested in how your community, your state, and your country work.
If everybody under the age of 30 voted,
we can kind of use this for good if we, it's never been easier to look up, your representatives' phone numbers and tell them what you think, tell them what you like, tell them what you don't like, So it's important to stay curious, stay involved, and use the things that can be used for all of the bad reasons. Try and cherry pick the good stuff from that as well, which is contact, access, and, reaching out to people you wouldn't have had access to before.
Yeah, this is about your future. If everybody under the age of 30 who is eligible to vote voted, this would be a very different world. It would be a very different situation.
Yeah, that is the case.
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, there's nerds of every age, but when we started this, we really didn't want to do outreach at conventions because we felt like there was, people who didn't get the opportunity to use their voices as much, and also young people who maybe didn't know how powerful their voices are. So it's really exciting to see that people are getting involved, and obviously, if you have any questions, for Ivy, who is our social media, Ivy and Spooky Kids, she's in the chat right now. If you have questions for Dee Dee, there's a little question box down below.
As a matter of fact, we might have, let's see. We might have 5,000
in there already, but really quickly, if you're just joining us, this is Between Two Nerds. We are sponsored by nerdsvote.com. We're here with our amazing guest, D. Bradley Baker, actor extraordinaire and creepy yard aficionado.
Here's one question that we got, and this is a massive question, but maybe if there's just like a bullet out of this, like, how would you like our voting system to be improved?
Well, our voting system is the way it was set up is that the states set their own rules, and so it's a complete hodgepodge of a mess. I first of all would like to have a national standard for how it's done. I'd second of all like to take all the money out of influence in politics. I absolutely think that should just be take it out. It absolutely poisons everything, and I think those are the main things. I think that elections should be publicly funded, and that it shouldn't be about who has the most billions of dollars. I don't think raising money is necessarily an indication for viability or ability to govern well. I think that's crap. I think this should be a standard, basic, here's who I am, here's what I've done, and here's what I think. And that everyone gets to can look at who's putting themselves out there, and that everybody can get out and vote. I also would add that, like Australia, I think we should have to vote. I think it should be compulsory, just like you have to pay for your registration on your car. I think you need to get your butt out of your house and go vote and take some ownership. And so those are things that I think. For what that's worth.
Yeah, at the very least, it should be a holiday, and we should all be able to,
yes,
so much of what we've talked about voter suppression and how that is so rampant in this country, especially right now, and so much of it just has to do with the simple things of preventing people from getting to the polls on election day. And,
well, that's an old tune. That's an old tune, especially since the Civil War. If you start kind of checking around after the Civil War with Reconstruction and then the raising of Jim Crow and all of that in the South, you can trace what that gets back to. And it's the same. It's really the same people, and it's the same forces involved, and the same issues of people who want to choke off democracy for the advancement of privilege and power and money of individuals.
Yeah. And I also I agree with our friend Hugo in the chat, who is a fan of ranked choice voting. I love ranked choice voting. So yeah.
What is that?
Ranked choice voting is when, so instead of just casting one vote, saying this is the candidate I want, you rank. I want this person. I would vote for this person first, this person second, and what it does is, like, for instance, just as an example, this is not a partisan thing necessarily, but a lot of people during the primaries, they put I won't use names. They put one person at the front because they thought, well, they're the ones that are going to be able to win, so we should put them first. But their second choice was usually the person that maybe they didn't necessarily think that they had a chance at winning, but they were the person that ideologically represented who they are and and the job that they wanted done well.
Interesting.
So ranked choice helps to kind of create this a clearer picture of what people actually want, as opposed to trying to hedge bets or figure something out as to like who's going to win.
That's interesting, because I think our country started out where the guy who got the most votes was president, and the guy who got the second amount of most votes was vice president.
And then Thomas Jefferson said, nope.
Yeah. Thomas, yeah, right.
Thanks, pal.
It's really funny about how the less government person gets in there, and suddenly it's all about more government.
The truth.
Ain't that America?
Ain't it the truth?
No matter what side. That's it.
That's the other great thing. Just to get back to the media thing, when you're looking at candidates, guys, you can see, you can find out people who are not taking money from super PACs and, private interest groups and things like that. You can research candidates, and it's so important to stay curious about all of this stuff, because it really does affect. You can see it obviously in your communities more so, quicker, more immediately, but it's, research your candidates. We talk a lot about, if you go to northvote.com, on the front page of our website, there's a big explosion button, and if you push on it, it's our ballot party. It's a great guide to having a ballot party where you and your friends or you and your family can sit down and either remotely on Zoom or in person, divvy up the issues that are on your ballots and the candidates, so you guys can spread the work around and then come back together and kind of just talk about what you've learned after you've done the research together. Spend some time researching the issues and then sit and say, hey, this is what we've got, and let people make their own choices. But that way, the whole procedure of voting is so much more, the process is so much more fun because you're doing it with people.
And less overwhelming.
Workload. And then, go have a really nice dinner or ice cream or get a glass of wine or a cup of milk, whatever your thing is. A nice glass of warm milk. But, this is something that we should celebrate, that we have that we get to vote.
Yeah.
Let's change how we feel about it. It's not your social duty. It's your social opportunity, your civic opportunity.
Yeah, this is about your future. I mean, this country is very unique. It is truly a revolutionary country, and many of the things, if you go back and to check out how we were originally set up, there's such fresh, good ideas, and we're still here, but we're also still the kind of conflicted mess of all kinds of different people that we've always been. But that is what we are. We're not a single strain of people. We're a whole mixture of people that are trying to find a way to work together and to make things better. And this is where the rubber hits the road, is at the election. So it's absolutely, everyone should get out to vote, and everyone should take a